like original sort of like instigator, I guess, into the guitar. Like I watched this show called Drake and Josh. I don't have you ever watched it?
Of
Yeah.
course.
So
Yeah.
when Drake like played the guitar, I like fell in love with that. It was like the coolest thing ever. But it wasn't until I started listening to John Mayer where I was just like, oh, like I want to do this. Like I want to make music that like moves people. Because I started listening to like the Continuum record.
I was gonna say, was it
Gravity.
Continuum?
Yeah, Gravity, Stop This Chain, Slow Dancing, like everything, every single song from top to bottom of that record was just like so good, you know? You're gonna find like I'm gonna find another you. Like all of those songs are so good. So I was like, oh, I want to make music that moves people like this, you know? So yeah, that was kind of like the base one. But like eventually I'll come across like a bunch of different artists who I just fell in love with like their sound, and everything just kind of gets into this melting pot. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. Was Frank, like, how big was Frank for you? I think everybody can appreciate Frank's music, but he's someone that like can just be a universe to an artist.
Right.
And
yeah. Frank was an interesting sort of period because Blonde came out around like the Bryson Tiller sort of era, right?
Yep.
2016 Russ sort of sleepy R&B sort of thing, and it was like really, really trendy at the moment, and it was like really sweet to the ear. And Frank Ocean's record was so kind of, it was a little bit challenging to listen to, I think, for a lot of people, and it really pushed those borders. And I was just fascinated by it. Like I was just like, oh, like you're allowed to do this. You're allowed to go here if you want. Like Nike's as the first track, the super high pitched vocals was just like so wild to me at first. I was like, I don't know if I like this or not, you know? But after a few times, like you really get into it. So
it's funny thinking back, right? Like how radical that was, especially as a lead impression of a project.
Right.
At the time.
Right. Exactly. And now, like everyone's having super duper pitched vocals, formant shifts everywhere, you know? So yeah, I think that Frank was a really big influence on me because it really inspired me to try to make music that was different, I guess. Like you can make like acoustic love ballads and you can make like bluesy songs and everything, but there's a certain like we can refer to it like spice, right? There's like a certain amount of spice to that record that like you don't want to go like full blazing hot sometimes because you'll just like turn people off. So you want to find like an approachable amount where it'll like grip someone and still challenge them at the same time. So yeah.
I love that analogy. That's up there with the Prince one I pulled out.
Yeah. Same sort of thing.
So do you now? I'm curious with that remark you made about Frank giving you the confidence to push further. Do you look back at some of the early stuff and you probably still appreciate it for what it was, but do you see yourself living within rules and walls and parameters you put up there for yourself?
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's exactly rules or walls. It's sort of like when I listen to my old music and I compare it to the music that I make now, I didn't even know that I could go certain places. Like I didn't even know that I could like I could use. So I'll use an example right now. I'm making a song right now that's like has a lot of different vocal layers, like an a cappella and stuff like that, right? But inevitably, when the multiple vocal layers, when I take a breath, there's going to be a gap of silence right there, right? So all I have to do is fill that frequency somehow. So I just came up with this idea to put some synth strings in there, and they're supposed to be there not so that you can hear them along with the vocals, but just so it fills that space where all the vocals take a breath. So an example of that is just like sonic sculpting, like little tricks that I didn't know about before. So it's just that sort of thing, you know?
And how much of those just arise when you're just in a session or you're just making a song? Like, are those?
They're all random. They're all
right. Like, it's never deliberate. Like, the idea you end up on is never deliberate.
No, the funny thing is, like, as soon as you try to make it deliberate, it almost loses the magic. It's kind of strange. Like
it's forced.
Yeah, I find myself keeping like rough takes of vocals and everything over like my studio session takes because like there's just a certain mojo to it that I want to keep.
Totally.
Yeah.
I know a lot of your fans are in here. They probably know the story, but just in case anybody's new to you in here, 12 years old, I guess this all starts, and it starts with your grandfather's guitar.
Yeah,
that's right. Is that the accurate story?
Yeah, that's the accurate story. Like I said, I really like Drake and Josh, and I wanted a guitar, and my mom said no. She was just like, you're going to pick it up and you're going to throw it away. And I was like, I'll show you. So the only logical thing was to circumvent her and go to Grandpa and ask him for a guitar, right? Yeah. So I knew that he had guitars lying around because I would go over to my grandparents' house and I would see them on the stand. And it's so funny because I would just like slap on the strings to like make noise and stuff, and it would sound cool. So one day I just asked him if I could, play with his guitar. So he brings it to my grandparents had a dry cleaner store. So I would go over there when I was younger to because they would babysit me. And he brought it one day and he sat me down and I just kind of fell in love with it. So he's like, just take it home. And the rest is kind of history. I went through so many different little cheap guitars and that my mom and dad were able to get for me. And I just learned off of those and now we're here.
And then I've also read you then you're just pouring over music and you're just like a sponge on the internet. What are you doing on the internet early on in your musical journey? Are you meeting other music fans? Are you looking up lyrics? Are you researching the history of music? What are you doing?
So we're talking about early on, right? So this is when no one's ever asked this before. This was when YouTube covers were really, really popping and they were a big thing. Not any YouTube covers though. Covers that people would showcase playing the individual instruments, the baby steps of production. You would see 4 screens of the same person and he's doing a shaker or he's playing the guitar or he's doing multiple vocals. And it really made it very visual, right? For a young kid to understand, he's just recording himself doing each individual thing just over the same thing. How does he do that, So I figured out it's GarageBand, Mom, can I save up my birthday money to get a cheap MacBook? I mean, cheap MacBook, but a MacBook.
Yeah.
So that you can open up GarageBand. And I didn't understand it at the time, but I was producing, just by recording 10 vocal tracks over each other and 10 different ukulele tracks over each other. You're producing, you're slowly figuring out how to work through the programs and everything. So yeah, that's kind of what I was doing. And I would go on Ultimate Guitar, just sing covers of my favorite artists' songs and everything. I would just kind of learn the guitar back and forth that way. So yeah.
Isn't it funny? I'm sure there's stages in your journey right now that you're evolving through that. These titles, and it's not just music; it's in any industry. They put things and tasks on a pedestal. Do you ever find this? Producing, right? Some artists might be I could never produce, and they're probably producing and not even realizing it, or engineering and not even realizing it.
Right. Yeah. I think it is kind of funny. I feel that they are all so they're also intertwined that it's hard to for me, it's kind of hard to separate. I of course understand that there are distinct roles and everything, but I think they are very married. And even when an artist goes into a studio and is asking the engineer to arrange the session a certain way, they have their own visual sort of imagination of what the song is supposed to be in their heads. They just can't articulate it on the laptop. But it's pretty simple.
Yeah. And then talk to me just a little bit about this Reddit contest you entered your first song into.
Oh, dude.
Is this am I really going way back?
I mean it's so funny to it's so funny to me to talk about this stuff because the past year of my life has been such a dream. It's so crazy to even remember I used to just go on Reddit and try to make music for competitions and shit. So anyways, I was trying to branch out, right? Frank Ocean inspired me to kind of make music that was weird, a little bit out there, a little spicy. And I didn't want anyone to kind of know that I was trying it out because I don't want anyone to find out if I'm making garbage or not. I don't know if it's garbage or not, but you have to let other people decide. And I started releasing music under a moniker, it's my name now, it's Keshi. And Reddit was the only sort of place where you could have strangers listen to you and not have family and friends just tell you oh yeah, that song sounds good, So I remember I had won this little Joji competition thing where you're supposed to make music in the same sort of vein. And it was so validating hearing it from complete strangers on the internet. Hey, this is really good. You have something here. You should keep on doing it. And I was on the verge of stopping music altogether. But when I had all that reinforcement, how could I stop, So yeah, it just was just blasting forward.
Let me ask you this, because let's just assume there's aspiring artists in here right now that are at that stage where they're not really showing people the music just yet. It's very early on. How do you make the decision, and how did you make the decision of the song that you decided to go public with first, right? Because I'm sure that's not the first song you ever made. But then there's a song that comes along, and you go, you know what? I'm probably active on this Joji subreddit. I'm being a viewer and now I want to be a participant.
Right.
This is the song I'm doing it with. How do you choose that song?
How you choose that song? That's so hard. I mean, I have a struggle with that. So that's every artist's sort of like battle, right? Deciding which songs they want to release. I think it's about being really honest with yourself, being really objective. Because I don't know, like you could think like you're the smartest like artist in the world, like, oh, like nobody's gonna get this, like it's so good, you know. But like anybody who listens to the song and tells you like that song's not that good, like they're smarter than you know.
Yeah.
It's because you're trying to have somebody else enjoy the music that you create. So I think in a weird sort of way that really helps the projection of an artist, like how far they go is like, can they tell like objectively, how objectively can they stand apart from the music, basically, right? So I don't think there really is an easy way to decide. You just have to kind of like be brave enough to put it out. And
I'll even look at comments on an interview or an episode of something I'm involved with, and I want to see like the people that don't like it. Like, why didn't they like it? You know what I mean?
Why.
What's up?
Yeah, it just helps.
Yeah,
you
and
understand why.
like understand,
helps
you know,
like improve and everything else. So like
totally.
Yeah, I think the criticisms are like really important, especially. Well, the only unfortunate part is like there can be. I used to like watch interviews of my favorite artists, and they would talk about this phenomenon where like one bad comment out of like 10,000 will just set you off, and it's so true. It's so true. Like it's such a minority, but it really does just like get you down. And I'll have like my fiance, and she'll be like, "Oh, what's wrong?" I was just like, "Oh, there's a mean comment about me."
Because she's not talking at dinner tonight. It's like,
yeah, exactly. No,
that
really
guy in Toledo.
Yeah.
So funny. Well, dude, I don't want to take too much more of your time. I do want to ask you about more, though. I'm obsessed with this, and I have some questions I'll ask you offline about like business stuff with it. But like, I'm just such a huge fan of this song. Just tell me everything and anything you can about More.
Yeah, so More is my most recent single of my next EP that's coming out. And it's not super often that I write songs that are really like biographical, but this song is pretty much straight just out of my life. And it was written about a time where I was on tour and I had to be apart from my significant other for a very long time. And it's hard because like, they're both my dream, you know? This thing that I'm doing right now and her, like they're both my dream. And I never imagined like being in a position where I could chase this one too, you know? So I think there's a line in there that's like, I don't know, it was really telling for me. And it's a line that's hasta la vista, dying to see ya in a dream that I had where I sing in arenas. And I remember writing that line thinking like, holy shit, like, did I just write that? Like it's really like the most perfect summation of the whole song for me. So it's really about just like trying to chase both things at once, you know? So yeah.
Do you ever listen to, I believe it's called Dear Marie by John Mayer?
Yes, I have.
I mean, is that not the best song ever for that exact dilemma?
I know,
you know
exactly.
What I mean?
You know, it is. It really is. Oh, God. I love that song so much.
Yeah. I got to listen to it now, too.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
are
what
you,
a beautiful
are you a John
line.
Mayer fan, too? Like a big John Mayer
Oh,
fan?
I mean, how can you not be if you like music? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so cool, man. Let's definitely stay in touch. I want to ask you some stuff just on DM, but dude, like this, I mean, I can't believe how late I was to Keshi. I really can't. Like, I was like, I had to have like, I do this sometimes, like, you know how sometimes with people you're being like, you'll be like, we had to have met, right?
Right.
But
right,
we have
right.
artists sometimes where I'm just like, there's no way I haven't listened to this music. You know what I mean? Like, it's so good. But
Thank you,
more
man.
just like blew me away. I've been sending to like
Thank
everybody and
you.
anybody I know. So
I appreciate it.
thank you for that.
No, of course. Well, thank you for having me. Feel free to hit me up and we'll be in touch, yeah?
Yeah, totally, man.
All right. Later,
Thank
man.
you. There you go. Awesome. Well, thank you all, the 450 Keshi fans that tuned in. I'm going to leave this up on IGTV. You know how that works. You can watch this in full. You got here late. I thought it was a cool chat. You be the judge. Leave a mean comment like we were just talking about. It'll ruin my dinner tomorrow night. And then I'm going to be back with another great band in about 10 minutes' time. And thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll be right back.